Hi, I'm Julia.
And I'm Kelly.
And we're the UCAS coordinators for Hubert College. So today, this is going to be our first virtual Progression to HE event. So we've got a number of guest speakers today from local universities going to talk to you a bit more about their university and a number of different topics. So the first person we've got for you today is Sarah from UCLan. And as I said, she's going to go over UCLan and more information for you and a bit more about UCAS and personal statements, hints and tips.
I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Sarah and I work for the University of Central Lancashire, or I will refer to us as UCLan, just because it's a bit of a mouthful repeating University of Central Lancashire all the time, so I will refer to us as UCLan. During this presentation, I'm going to give an overview of UCLan, its location, the campus facilities, and I'm going to give a brief introduction into some of our courses too. At the end, I'm going to touch on personal statements and a few tips and hints of what to include within your personal statement. Next slide, please. Our main campus is based in a city called Preston. You should have heard of Preston. We're not too far away from Liverpool. We are just north of Liverpool and Manchester, less than an hour away. Preston is a small city with a big personality. It is a vibrant, bustling and multicultural city, and it is home to a thriving community of approximately 30,000 students, which makes it an ideal place to study, live and work. We also have smaller campuses in Burnley, Cumbria and Cyprus. Next. On the map there, you can see the red star. That's basically Preston, and that's whereabouts our university is. So you can see it's just north of Liverpool and Manchester. Most of our facilities are walkable. If you want to go on to the next slide, we'll show you a campus map. You can see there that the whole of the UCLan facilities are shown on this map. It is classed as a city centre campus, however it does have a feel of a campus-based one for the simple fact that everything is walkable. Your lecture theatres, classrooms, labs, studios, along with the library, student union and sports centre, and your accommodation if you're living there is all walkable. The only thing away from the university is the sports arena, which houses all the outdoor pitches, the running tracks, etc., which is approximately 3 miles away. However, there is a free shuttle bus that will take you from campus through to the sports arena. Next. Preston offers both contemporary and traditional shopping experiences, with Friargate being the main street that connects the university with the city centre. Preston houses a thriving cafe culture with diverse and enjoyable nightlife, and it also has a Preston's Purple Flag status, which recognises it as a safe and clean city. Preston is a mid-sized city, not far from the coast. You probably have heard of Blackpool. And the Lake District is just north of Preston, with the larger cities of Liverpool and Manchester being south of them. So Preston is a smaller city to those of similar ones of Liverpool and Manchester. Next. UCLan offers over 250 undergraduate courses. On the slide here, which shows just a few, however, you will see that there are some courses that you may be studying currently, and you can continue studying those subjects. However, you could start a completely new different subject. Next. We are currently approximately halfway through our £200 million transformation of our Preston campus. UCLan's vision over the next 5 years is to create a unified, sustainable and welcoming campus which will enhance the experience for all those visiting the uni. Our Engineering Innovation Centre opened in October last year and is an advanced, state-of-the-art teaching and research facility which engages directly with industry and provides students with real-world experience on live projects. Our social spaces are situated in the heart of the campus. The social spaces provide areas for staff and students to work, socialise and relax. They are bright, spacious and comfortable areas that have extended opening hours. Next. I'm just going to run through the next few slides, just covers a few of our subject areas. We have firstly the Faculty of Science and Technology, and you can see there that we have psychology courses. There are a number of different psychology courses there. We also have lots of different engineering courses. The portfolio for engineering courses has extended quite dramatically since the opening of our Engineering Innovation Centre. And you can see that you have the option of doing a BEng, which is a Bachelor of Engineering, which is a 3-year degree, or an MEng, which is a Master in Engineering, which is a 4-year course. Both of those courses you can add an extra year in and do a year in industry. Next. Next. You can see here the typical entry requirements at the side of those courses. So the next courses that fit under this faculty are computing physics, astrophysics, maths. We also have forensic science courses, a number of those, including professional policing, archaeology and anthropology. Next. Next. The typical entry requirements are listed there again. Journalism, media and performance courses, along with the art, design and fashion courses and languages and law, sit under the Faculty of Culture and Creative Industry. Next. Our School of Business and Enterprise looks after all our business, accountancy and finance courses, along with tourism, hospitality and events and events degrees. Next. We offer the MBBS programme for medicine and also a number of dentistry programmes. These sit under the Faculty of Clinical and Biomedical Sciences. Pharmacy and Biomedical Sciences sit here too. Next. We offer a number of nursing courses, including adult, children's and mental health nursing, along with midwifery. We also offer sport and wellbeing courses together with social work. Next. The first image on this slide on the left-hand side is an image of our sports arena, which is, like I said earlier, about 3 miles away from the city campus. This houses all the outdoor pitches, so the football pitches, you've got the running tracks. We also have canoeing there. The outdoor leadership course is predominantly run from there, and that's the reason why it's out of the city centre, is because we need that little bit more space away from the actual city centre. On the right-hand side is an image of our sports centre, which is in the centre of our campus, and this houses our gym, our studios, the indoor courts. We have a squash court there. And just to mention that all UCLan students receive free membership for all these facilities for the duration of their studies. Next. I'm going to cover a few information about students and support services. We have our Oasis Multi-Faith Centre. It is a space for all faiths to use. There is a separate Muslim prayer room, Christian chapel for worship, with a quiet room for reflection and a relaxing roof garden. We also have our library. This is probably one of the most important buildings on campus. It is open 24/7, where you will find all your learning resources. We also have our Students' Union. You may call in maybe for a coffee from Starbucks at the atrium. You may karaoke in Source Bar, or grab your essential shopping from our Essentials supermarket. This is a central point for students to balance your studies with your social life. Next. The Eye is a one-stop shop for students who can get help and support about anything uni-related. We have Wiser, which is an academic support team which will help you with any referencing, for example, you're unsure about whilst you're at university. We also have our medical centre and a pharmacy on campus. Every student is automatically registered to our medical centre whilst they're at UCLan. Next. Our accommodation, there's a few images of our accommodation here. We would always encourage all first year students, if you were to move to our university, to stay in university owned accommodation, as this is where you will meet all the first year students and also have added security when you first start at university. Next. Very briefly, I'm going to run into personal statements. I'm conscious we're getting through our time very quickly. UCAS, you may have heard of UCAS. UCAS is basically the organising body that manages the applications for when you go to university. And this website is probably the largest, biggest resource that you can use from now onwards when you're going through your research for universities and starting your personal statement. Next. Okay, so start your research, the sooner the better. Look at prospectuses. Obviously, these are all online now. You can look at different universities. Speak to your teachers, your career advisors. Julia and Kelly are always there for you to speak to. Go on the UCAS webpage. There is a course search in there, and that covers all courses that are delivered in the UK. So you can go through that. You can also visit open days, campus tours, etc. Of course, these are all virtual at the moment. And check out our university's social media. Next. The UCAS deadline is generally for most courses the 15th of January. However, if you're going to Oxford and Cambridge, or you're applying for medicine, dentistry or veterinary medicine, then that is the 15th of October, so that's only a week away. Art and design courses tend to be a little bit later, just for the simple fact you've got a portfolio to prepare. Next. Okay, so your UCAS application, it's all done online. There's standard information that they want from you, but the biggest part of that application is your personal statement. And I'm just going to touch on this very quickly. Next. Your personal statement has to be a set length, and the maximum characters is 4,000, and that includes your spaces too. You recommend to do it offline, do it in a Word document, and then when you're happy with it and maybe your tutors have had a look at it and they're happy with it, then copy and paste it into your application. Next. What to include? Tell us what your aspirations are for a particular career. Maybe it's a subject area that you have to do to follow a career. Tell us about any personal interests, okay? Any achievements that you've come across in school or college. You may have experience in working in relevant work experience to the course that you're applying to, for example, nursing, or it could be that you've done some voluntary work. Anything like that is all good for students to include in their personal statement. Remember, it has to be about you. Next. Next. So what are we looking for? So we're not just looking about the subject area, that is very important, but also tell us about other different transferable skills that you may have developed throughout your time at college, perhaps, or if you've done any work experience. Next. So your final paragraph, make sure that it doesn't fizzle out. You want it to be as engaging at the end than it is at the to make sure that you include your aspirations there. Next. I hope this presentation has been helpful and informative for you. If you'd like any further information about our courses and our facilities, please visit us virtually. We've got our webpage listed there. Next. This is our dates of our autumn open days. We actually have one going on today. You can join that at any time. Alternatively, the next one is 14th of November and the 18th of November, and you can just register online here. Next. There's a few useful links there that you may find helpful. Like I said, the UCAS webpage is probably the most informative webpage right now for you. And also when you're doing your personal statement, the Unifrog website is helpful too. Next. There's just a couple of useful links there. Next. Thank you very much for listening. My email address is there. If you've got any specific questions you want to ask me, then please drop me an email. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. That was great.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next university that we're going to look at is Hope University. And we're going to go over now to Stephen.
Hello, you okay?
Hi, Stephen.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I'm been asked to come along and speak about why you might be interested in applying to university, the benefits of going to university. So I'll start off speaking a little bit about Hope and about us, and then I'll go on to sort of explain some of the benefits of going to HE. I think we've got some slides at the ready as well. Sorry, do I need to share my screen or will? Oh, there we go.
I think it's coming up now. Over to you.
There we go. Just a little bit behind. Sorry. Thank you. So yeah, as I've said, I'm from Liverpool Hope. We're one of the 3 universities in Liverpool, which is located in Chilwell. Really nice leafy suburb of Liverpool. Next, please. And next. So just a quick about Hope itself. Originally, we were 2 teaching colleges that came together to make a university, and our original college was founded in 1844. We've got about 5,500 to 6,000 students, which makes us a sort of small to mid-sized university, which does have its benefits, which I can get onto a little bit when we're talking about why you might want to go to university. Recently, we spent around 60 million on campus development. So that includes like sports labs, psychology labs, new things at the creative campus, like theatres and stuff like that. And we have over 330 courses for you to choose from, including sort of combinations of courses as well. Next. So across the university, we've got 3 campuses, Hope Park being the main one. So this is where most of our subjects are taught. You've got things like teacher training, business, psychology, sport, as I've mentioned there as well. So on this campus, you've got things like our sports complex. To be a member of our gym, it's just £25 for the year. You've got a lot of the sort of social spaces at the university as well. And obviously, you've got like your lecture theatres and your classrooms as well. Next. And then, as I've mentioned, we've got our creative campus as well. So if you are interested in studying something like art, drama, music, that kind of thing, then you'd be at this campus, which is just located outside the city centre. And that's got its own things like its own theatre, rehearsal spaces, and graphic design labs, and all that kind of thing. Next. So both of the aforementioned campuses there have got accommodation, but we do have a separate site, which is just accommodation called Egbert Park. So again, we'll get on to sort of moving away from home and stuff in a little bit. But if you were interested, we've got Egbert, which is quite close to Sefton Park. So quite a good area for students to move into. Next. And then finally, we've got Plas Cardaean, which is our study retreat in North Wales. So in normal circumstances, which I know it's hard to talk about at the minute, this is somewhere you go as part of your course for sort of a different learning experience. Next. So just quick about Hope, you know, you'll see statistics about universities everywhere, and they are really important to pay attention to, especially if you're deciding what you want from a university. So these two we've been given the TEF Gold, which is the Teaching Excellence Framework, and we're the only gold rated university in Liverpool, and we're the top university in Liverpool for student satisfaction as well. So these stats just kind of say that our teaching's great and our students are happy with their experience at university. Next. And then just these ones as well. So in the Northwest, we're in the top 2 for teaching quality, and overall in the UK, we're in the top 20. So again, if you think of all the higher education institutions in the country, we're quite high for teaching quality, and that's obviously really important if you're investing in a degree. Next. So obviously the main reason that I'm sort of here to speak to you today is about why would you go to university? What are the benefits of higher education? So we can just slip onto the next 2 slides, sorry. Yeah, just one after that as well, sorry. So among many other reasons, these are some of the top reasons why someone might go to university to study. It might be a combination of these. It might be solely one of them. Like I said, there might be a few that aren't listed. So at university, you can study a single or combined subject that you really love. So when you come and do a degree, you might just study one subject, you might study 2. It doesn't necessarily have to be things that you've maybe learned previously on school at the national curriculum. So for example, when I went to university, I studied education and early childhood, which I'd never studied previously in sixth form or in school. So that was quite a nice new educational experience. You've got travel as well. I guess this is kind of twofold. If you decide to live somewhere else, you might move to a different city, but also there's travel opportunities within your degree within most universities as well. Career progression is quite important. I'd say that's one of the biggest ones in the sort of current educational market. A lot of degrees now, a lot of jobs, require you to have a degree. Some of them require you to have a specific degree, or even beyond. Some of them just require you to have a degree. So it does really help with your career progression, opens a lot of doors for you than without a degree. And sort of just on that as well, I suppose you are in the workplace for quite a long time. So sort of jumping straight into the workplace after sixth form or college or whatever, it can just make that a little bit longer. So going and getting a degree not only opens more doors, but sort of gives you a little bit of a taste breaker before you start your career. Independence, again, that's sort of twofold, I suppose. You've got independence in regards to your study. Obviously, you're sort of quite independent in writing your essays, doing your projects, your examinations and stuff like that. But also independent in regards to if you do choose to move out, obviously you'll be sort of looking after yourself. You'll be living in a hall with people who maybe haven't lived out by themselves before either. So you are quite independent in your education, but also in your own life as well. You get the opportunity to meet new people, which is really important. I went from sort of a smallish sixth form, where, I quite often like to play football with my mates after school and all that kind of thing, to a lecture theatre of about 100 people, of which I was only one of 3 males, given the sort of nature of my course. So it was quite interesting to meet loads of new people from different backgrounds, maybe people that I wasn't used to mixing with at the time, which obviously helped with the final 2 points of character development and social skills as well. And in regards to your character development, doing a degree is quite tough. You've got to balance quite a lot of sort of pieces of work and your revision and going to your classes and stuff like that. And it really does help develop you as a person. Next. So obviously, one of the things that we really touched on there was people like the thought of going to university to move away. Again, I know it's a little bit strange in the current climate talking about this kind of thing, but it is something to consider. So, you do want to think about your course, first of all, what you want to go and study. But if you're going to university, are you going to have to move away? What's the accommodation like? What's the location like of the university? So, as I mentioned, with Liverpool Hope, we're in a sort of leafy suburb in Liverpool, and we're not in the city centre as such. So does that kind of environment suit you? Is that what you want? Do you want to live in accommodation with other freshers and other university students, or would you rather stay at home? It's all about the sort of experience that you want. And again, all these kind of things, this side of it's really not about you going to your classes and your degree and stuff. It's about your own personal development and what you think is going to give you the best experience that you're looking for. But it is a great experience to have going to university, not just for the educational side, but for all this, the extra life experience that you can get and all the independence that you can gain as well. So that's always one thing that's worth looking into, is even if your university is quite local to where you live, having a little look at the accommodation, what it's like, the sort of the environment in which you'll be living in as well, and obviously the cost and the different types of accommodation as well. Next. So just to give you a very quick idea, I'm not going to delve into this too much. Obviously, at universities, if you do choose to move out, you've got different types of accommodation at every university. So, for example, at Hope, we've got 2 options that vary in price, and the variation is just what you sort of have access to. You've got an ensuite option or a shared facilities, and again, these just present different opportunities for you. Some by nature are a little bit more social if you're living on a corridor full of people, whereas some are more like living in a flat. So you'll be sort of be mixing with the people that you live in a flat with. So it's again, these are sort of opportunities that you wouldn't necessarily gain if you didn't go to university. So it's worth considering. Next. So just want to speak a little bit more so about student development and all that stuff beyond doing your degree. Like I've said, going to university gives you a lot more than just sort of that high quality education, that career progression. It also helps you as a person as well. So next. So these are just a few examples at Liverpool Hope of extracurricular things that you can get involved with. So you've got our Students' Union. Obviously, I know that was mentioned in the previous presentation there. What a student union is really good for is heading up all the clubs and societies as well. So, if you've got a real interest in something outside of your studies, so even if you're studying something like film and drama, but you've got a real interest in politics, you could look at joining the Politics Society or something like that. If you've got an interest in sport, or even something really niche like Mario Kart, for example, there's bound to be a society for you out there. And if there isn't, the student union can help you make one. And again, that's something really good, is developing you as a character, is being able to extracurricular, organize meetings and have a society with people with a common goal and a common interest. You also have the opportunity to study abroad as well. So with Hope, you can do this in your second year for either a term or the whole year. Again, this differs from university to university, but it's a great experience to have. With Hope, we would send you to a university that we've got a partnership with, so their curriculum will be similar to what you're studying at Hope. So basically what that means is you won't have to come back and repeat that year. It counts towards your final degree, which is really good. We've also got our Service and Leadership Award, which is an extra award you can get on top of your degree. It involves some sort of volunteering and that kind of thing. We've also got Global Hope, which is one of our charity initiatives. So during the summers, you can go to a more deprived area of the world and help out with things like education and stuff. Again, a great experience that you might not get if you didn't attend university. Recently, we've also introduced the Duke of Edinburgh Gold. I think we're one of a few universities that offer it. Great thing being you don't need to have done your bronze or silver to enroll. It'll just take you a little bit longer to complete your gold. It'll take you over the 3 years. Again, great extra qualification you get on top of that, and it does count towards your service and leadership award if you're interested. And then a big sort of appeal for Liverpool Hope, and again, this is something that you should look into if, depending on what university you go to, is the city. Obviously, I don't need to speak about the city too much. Being in Hubert, I'm sure you know quite a lot about the city. But to be fair, like even someone like myself who's lived in Liverpool my whole life, there's always something surprising, something new in the city, and not just necessarily in the city centre as well. So it's always worth researching the city. And if you are going to move somewhere for 3 years, it's worth making sure that you move to the right place as well. Next. So just an example of some of the extracurricular things and why they might be a benefit to you. Sports Hope is quite well known for its sports. So these are some of our recent successes. So our men's Gaelic football, 2019 All British champions. Women's Gaelic football crowned the British Universities Ladies Champion 2018. You can kind of see some of the other accolades there as well. So these are great achievements. You know, again, maybe sort of competitions you wouldn't be able to enter at that level if you didn't go to university. Great opportunity to meet new people, be part of a team, and again, looks great on sort of your CV and stuff like that when you do eventually apply for jobs. Next. And next again, please. And like I say, just what a really big part of making your application for university is making sure you research into the place that you're going to be going, as well as the university itself. You know, a university could be great, but you've got to make sure the size of the town or the city or the location is going to be right for you. So as we all know, Liverpool is a great place. You know, it's famous for a lot of things. You know, we've got a fantastic football team, top of the league, and then another one called Liverpool. You know, we've got two great cathedrals. We're known for the Beatles, our music, our art, and that kind of thing. And, you know, for me personally, there's not really another city like Liverpool. But if you are thinking about moving away, I'd say research into the city is just as important as research into the university, because it is going to shape your experience, the city that you live in. Next. So, you know, as mentioned as well in the previous presentation, research into this kind of thing is quite important. If you are interested in knowing a little bit more about Hope and sort of seeing in practice some of the things that I've mentioned, you should research there. You can book onto one of our virtual open days. So we've got one coming up this month, and then one in November, one in December as well. And I'd say that's a really critical part of doing research into university. Even if you go to one of these open days and sort of decide that university is not for you, or that particular university is not for you, that's still really important part of the research. And, you know, it's never been easier to go to a university open day now. You can do it from the comfort of your own home, like an event like this. So yeah, there's not been a better time to attend a load of university open days. You don't have to travel as far, other than to the dining table or the couch. Next. And if you do have any sort of further questions for myself or anyone in Liverpool Hope, all of our contact details are there. The telephone number at the minute is voicemail only, but is being monitored every hour, Monday to Friday. So you can leave a question there, but it might just be best to drop us an email or get in touch on social media. We're also on the student room as well if you've got any further questions. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. Okay, so applying for student accommodation, it's a very good question. Once you've made your application to the university, and again, this might differ from university to university. Once you've made your application with us and you've been accepted, once you move from that stage of applicant to sort of student due to start, you'll be given a student ID number, and you can go on our website and there's details for booking onto your accommodation there. I think it's just a quick form. You'll need that student number, and it'll ask you sort of details of, I think you get choices of accommodation. So if your first choice is sort of ensuite, and then your second choice is the other ensuite block. But yeah, it's normally all just done online. We do have an accommodation team. Their accommodation email is just accommodation@hope.ac.uk if you had any further questions. But it's a really straightforward process. Just a quick form where you'd sort of tell us what your top choices are for the accommodation, and with your student number as well. Has anyone got any COVID? So at the minute, originally Hope had plans to sort of do face-to-face learning as well as online learning. So students moved in as usual. When they moved in, they were given a time slot. Obviously, normally in normal circumstances, sort of you just given a day and everyone sort of moves in. But over the weekend, people were given time slots to come and move in. And essentially, yeah, depending on the sort of the type of halls that you're in, because obviously it differs the amount of people that you'll be around. The sort of set rules and regulations in line with the sort of local Liverpool lockdown. So, for example, if you're in the ensuite and you're living in a flat with those 4 other people, those 4 people share kitchen facilities, so they sort of count as that bubble, that flat. And it's the same for those who are living in, you know, the shared facilities on a corridor. They're sort of having to, each floor is, I guess, a bubble essentially. We've got 24 hours campus security and campus services still. Any students who are maybe having to self-isolate or quarantine and stuff, we've got a dedicated COVID team. These students are getting phone calls regularly to make sure that they're okay. There's additional services for them, like if they can't get a food shop delivered and all that kind of thing. So the university's been really responsive and supportive to those who are living in accommodation with the lockdown and stuff.
Okay. Oh, thank you for that, Stephen. That was brilliant.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye. Right, we'll go straight over now to Caroline from LJMU.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Caroline.
I'm going to try and share my screen now, so hopefully you'll be able to see my presentation. No, it's not working. So Ben, sorry, are you able to share the presentation which I sent to you? Doesn't appear to be working. Hopefully Ben's got my presentation as well, so be able to pop that up in a second. No, okay. All right, so, oh, brilliant, thank you. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to be talking briefly about LJMU and then some student funding via Student Finance England, and finally some tips on budgeting. Next slide, please. And the next one. Okay, so John Moores University is almost 200 years old. So we're celebrating our 200th birthday in a couple of years' time. And we've got students from over 70 different countries studying with us. And we've got over 21,000 students here at John Moores, with loads of different courses to choose from, which I'll mention very briefly in a minute. We do also have things like degree apprenticeships and the ability to study abroad as part of your degree as well. Next slide, please. So we have 5 different faculties. So you name it, we offer that course at John Moores, from zoology, nursing, engineering, business, teaching, events, all sorts of different courses to choose from. We have 3 different campuses across the city. So we are a city university. Everything's right in the city centre, and depending where you study, your accommodation would be possibly even just across the road from where your lessons would be. And as I said before, we do have, well, about 300 different degrees that you can choose from. Next slide, please. And the next one. So just a bit about student life at LJMU. So your lessons at uni would be sort of similar hours to what you're studying at Hugh Baird, whether you're doing A-levels or a BTEC. So sort of between 8 and 15 hours contact time, but at university you do have a lot more independent study time as well. You'd also have lectures and seminars, field trips and things like that. And you get a personal tutor who would help you for all things academic and non-academic things as well. Next slide, please. So to support that independent learning that I was talking about, we have several large libraries. So there's one right in the centre of the city and one in the northern end, and they're open 24 hours a day during term time. So if you are a night owl and you prefer to study at night, then you can do that. Next slide, please. So I know the other 2 universities have mentioned about accommodation, so I think you've got a good picture of that, but that's just a sort of typical example of student accommodation. And even though you are local to Liverpool John Moores, you would be guaranteed a place in halls of residence if you wanted one. Next slide, please. So I've been asked to talk about money. So next slide, please. So the main costs of going to university, there's 7 points here if you want to bring them all in, please, are the tuition fees, which is the cost of going to university. And then you've also got the costs of living, like accommodation, your food, your going out and things like that. So how do you pay for those costs? Next slide, please. So the main way to pay is your tuition fee loan, which pays for your cost of tuition. And then you can also get a maintenance loan, which helps you pay for your accommodation and food. And then there are other sources of money like bursaries and scholarships, which all universities offer. Next slide, please. So you do have to pay tuition fees, whichever university you go to, and you can get a loan for this, but you don't have to pay that back until you have finished university and are earning over £25,000 per year. Next slide, please. So to pay your tuition fees, you get a non-means tested loan, and that money will go to the university to pay for your teaching. Next slide. So to apply for the funding to get this student loan, you would go to the Gov website and Student Finance England, and it's all electronic. You do it all online. And your tutors and pod will be able to help you with that in a few months' time when it comes to the time for applying for funding. Next slide, please. So, yeah, this is just really about the date that you need to apply. So it does open in February, and you have until next May. So I know it's a few months off before you need to start thinking about it, but it will be something that your tutors will help you with. Next slide, please. So there are other costs of going to university as well as the tuition fees. Next slide, please. And these are things to do with your living costs and your food. So if you've spotted on the other presentations, you might have seen how much the cost of accommodation is per week. So next click, please. And the next one. So this amount is an average price of a city centre halls of residence, including all your bills and basic insurance and Wi-Fi as well. You can get it for cheaper, but that's sort of average price. Next click, please. So, and the next one, yeah, thanks. So, yeah, just to think about how much food costs. I don't know how many of you do much food shopping at the moment, but when you're a student, obviously you do have to start thinking about budgeting for food. So a bag of pasta, does it surprise you that it's only 29p for a bag of pasta? Next click, please. And then you might want some sauce to go on your pasta. And that is going to be 39p if you get a special cheap one. And then finally, next click, you need something to cook it in. Does anybody know how much a pan costs these days? So you can get one from as cheap as £2.25. I believe that one is from Wilko's. Okay, next slide, please. So yeah, to pay for all of this pasta and this accommodation, you can take out a maintenance loan. Next slide. So, and the next one, please. So these are the amounts that you can get each year to live off. So if you're going to live in halls of residence for any university, you can get just over £9,000 a year to live off. And if you're going to stay at home and, you know, get the train in or whatever, it will be 7,700 that you can get. Okay, next slide, please. So if you have a look here down the first column, the amount of money that you get as a loan depends on your household income. So if your household income is less than 25,725, you will get the full amounts of loan. But if you look right at the bottom of the list, if your household income is over 65,000, then you'll only get partial amounts of the loan and your family will have to support you with the rest of the money. Okay, next slide, please. So how do you repay the loans once you've actually when you finished university? Next slide, please. So as I mentioned briefly before, you only have to pay your loans back when you're earning over £25,725. So if you never earn that much money, you never have to pay it back. When you do pay it back, you pay 9% of anything over that. And you've got 30 years to pay it off. Next slide, please. So very quick chart to sort of explain the amounts you have to pay back depending on what your earnings are. If you have a look, it's probably the easiest way to summarise this is the middle bullet point. So if you were earning about £26,000 when you graduated, you would only pay £2.06 a month back off your student loan. So although we're talking big amounts here, paying it back is very little, and it's only what you can afford, and you've got 30 years to pay it off. So please don't let the financial side of going to university scare you or put you off, because you do get support. Next slide, please. So some free money now, and the next slide. So all universities offer bursaries and scholarships as well. Next slide, please. So you can check out on their websites. These are just 4 examples of our scholarships that we offer at LJMU. The highest one being £10,000 a year, which is, I believe, is the highest in the UK. Next slide, please. So just for those of you who might be interested in nursing, paramedics, midwifery, that kind of thing, there are some extra amounts of free money for NHS students. Next slide. So starting from the students who've just started now, you can claim £5,000 a year free in addition to the other amounts that the other loan amounts that I've been talking about. So you can actually get £5,000 a year if you're going to be doing, say, nursing. And then if you do have children, you might be able to claim up to £3,000 more to support childcare costs as well. Next slide, please. And next slide. And then just some final amounts of money that can help support you. You've got the childcare support, and there's also a disabled students allowance and care leavers bursaries as well. Next slide. So the disabled student allowance, when it comes to applying through UCAS, you would indicate if you had any special needs on your UCAS form, and then that will trigger any support for disabled students allowance. Next slide. So just the final couple of slides now about budgeting and just helping you manage your money, because probably none of you will have dealt with such large amounts of money and having to sort of live with it and decide, how much you're going to spend on food and everything else. So it's about recording what money you've got coming in and recording what money is going to be going out. So maybe keep a spending diary, maybe practice days when you're not going to try and spend anything, and things like that. Next slide, please. And just being aware that how much things do cost, and you can obviously start doing that now. But, at university, just like at Hugh Baird, you've got, I think it's a Starbucks, isn't it? Universities have cafes as well. And if you bought a coffee every single day, you could be spending, if you bought one each day for your teaching, all your teaching weeks, could be almost £400 a year that you've spent on the coffees. Pizza, if you just bought one a week, I certainly get a takeaway each week, then you could be looking at over £500 just getting pizza. And then even, buying your lunch out instead of making it at home, £700. And then things like just getting water instead of just bringing a bottle in, which is probably more environmentally friendly as well. You could be spending over £200. So just be aware of how much things cost, and start, making some plans now about, how you can save money and manage your money carefully. Okay, next slide, please. So I've got about couple of minutes if you do have any questions. I don't know if anybody has. If not, if you want to forward any questions to your tutors or to the pod, and they will forward them on to me, or you can visit our John Moores website or outreach@ljmu.ac.uk, and we can help you. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Oh, thanks, Caroline. That was great. Thank you. And hopefully we'll either see you soon or we'll talk virtually.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, staying local. Now we're going to go up to Ormskirk, and our next guest is Penny from Edge Hill University.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for having us today.
Hi Penny, over to you.
Are we able to have my slides put up on the screen? Is that okay?
Oh yeah, I think we're just getting them ready for you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
It's okay.
we're just going to wait a minute while we get your slides, Penny.
No problem at all.
So what we've decided to do today is just invite a couple of local universities for everyone that's listening. Because this time of year we usually have like a HE event in our Hugh Bird University Centre, so we invite all the universities in, and it's a nice chance for students to talk and find out more information about the universities. But today we just thought we would do our local universities and just do it for the hour. And I hope everyone's getting some information. It's pretty good up to now, isn't it, Julia?
Yeah, so far. Oh, there we go.
Here's your slides, Penny, so we're over to you.
Brilliant. So hi everyone, thanks for having me here to present today. My name's Penny. I work at Edge Hill University in our student recruitment team, and I've come on to talk to you today about UCAS application and personal statements. And so if we can go over to the next slide. So the whole point of this next maybe 10 or 15 minutes is just to have a think about actually what is UCAS, what you need to include in your application form, what happens after you submit your form, and what sort of resources or places can you go to get a bit more information. And so if we can go on to the next slide, please. Brilliant. So I'm sure you will have all heard the term UCAS before, and you probably do have a good idea of who they are and what they do. But for anyone who isn't too sure, UCAS stands for the University and Colleges Admissions Service, and they manage all full-time applications to universities. So if you want to apply to a university in the UK, you do this through the UCAS system, and it's an online form, so you can see the web link at the bottom. If you haven't had the chance to look on UCAS's website yet, I would encourage you to do that. Next slide, please. So in this first term, when you're back at college, so between September to December, this is when you usually start to begin finalising your application. So you might have started your UCAS application and you start looking at things like personal statements. This is the time as well where you start to make your final decisions. So about actually what university do you want to go to and what course do you want to study. Now, there are some deadlines to be aware of. So if you were wanting to apply to a medicine, dentistry or veterinary science course, you have to have submitted your UCAS form by the 15th of October. And then for anyone who's applying to any other sort of courses, your deadline is the 15th of January. Now, these deadlines are set by UCAS, but often your college will have an earlier deadline. So they might recommend you having your application complete in maybe November or December, say. And this is so that you can get your application sent off early, and usually you're stress-free then, so that you can start to concentrate on things like mock exams or any coursework that you might have. Next slide. So when you're actually applying through UCAS, you can apply to up to 5 different universities or courses. You do have to pay to send your UCAS application. So if you choose to apply to 5 different universities and courses, this will cost you £26. And if you choose to only apply to one course, that will cost you £20. Now, I personally would recommend that you apply to 5 different universities and courses, just give you a few more options if your first choice university was to fall through for any reason. So it's up to you who you'd apply to. It can be any university, any course. But what I would say, and we'll talk more about personal statements, but you only submit one personal statement to all 5 universities and courses. So this means that they do need to be in a relevant field so that you can make your personal statement relevant to all the universities that you're applying to. You can only apply to Oxford or Cambridge, and if you are applying to medicine, dentistry or veterinary science, you can only choose up to 4 courses in this area, and then your 5th choice has to be something different. So for example, you might apply to 4 medicine courses, and then you might apply to biomedical science, for example, as your 5th course. Next slide, please. So in terms of actually applying to a university, you do this through a section on the UCAS website called UCAS Apply. It's quite an easy online application. It has various different sections that you have to complete that you can see it on the left-hand side of that screen grab. So it includes things like your name, contact information, your grades that you've achieved whilst you're in education, any employment you might have done, and your personal statement. So next slide, please. So your personal statement is really your chance to stand out and to sell yourself to the university. So you get to choose 5 universities and 5 courses that you want to apply to. Your application then gets received by a university's admissions tutor, and they have a look at your personal statement and they receive lots and lots of them. So it really is your chance to sell yourself to that university and to that course and make yourself stand out and impress. Your personal statement is 4,000 characters or 47 lines, whichever ones come first. So by characters, this does include things like spaces and full stops. And it usually looks about a side of page 4. So it's like 1-page Word document is usually around 47 lines. Some courses might invite you to an interview. So your personal statement would be perhaps the basis of what they offered you that interview from. But many courses don't ask for an interview. So you'd usually be asked for an interview for courses like nursing, midwifery, teaching. But if you're applying to something maybe like English or sport, you might not have to interview. So really your personal statement is your one chance to really sell yourself and stand out from the crowd. Next slide, please. So seeing as your personal statement's really important because you're trying to sell yourself to universities, I thought I'd just include a few different sections that you might want to consider including in your personal statement. So we recommend having different sections to your personal statement, including your motivation, academic ability, skills and attributes, relevant experience, and outside interests. Next slide, please. So we'll talk a bit more about actually what should you include at each of those areas. So in terms of motivation, this is just, we want to understand what's motivated you to want to go to university and to study that particular area or topic. It doesn't have to be from an early age. So sometimes people feel the need to say, ever since I was born, I wanted to be a nurse. That's not actually true because you don't know that as soon as you're born. So it doesn't have to be from an early age. Don't feel like you have to say that. We just want to know why you're interested in that course. And also, what do you want to get out of higher education and going to university? And how can you show your commitment and your motivation and enthusiasm for that subject? So maybe you've attended summer residentials or open days where you can talk about how you're motivated to study that subject. Next slide. The next section that we'd want to see is academic ability. So really important in this part of your application, you don't need to start listing the grades that you've got in A-levels or your predicted grades because that'll already feature earlier on in your UCAS application. So it's just a waste of characters. In terms of academic ability for your personal statement, here we'd be interested to hear about topics you've maybe enjoyed studying or something that you're looking forward to studying at university. What I would say is if you're going to say, I'm really looking forward to studying a specific module, make sure that all the universities and courses you apply to actually offer that module, because otherwise universities might receive your application and think, well, you're applying to the wrong place because we don't offer that. So you can use like university websites or prospectuses to check that. And you might include anything that you've done in terms of wider reading. So, for example, if you're applying to a healthcare course, have you read into any healthcare journals, or kept up to date what's going on in the NHS? If you're applying to teaching, have you read like the national curriculum? So any additional reading around the topic that you've done, you might include in this section. Next slide, please. Next, we'd like to see your skills and attributes. So really in this section of your personal statement, this is all about what makes you unique as an individual and what sort of skills or attributes do you have that would link to the degree course that you want to study, or that would make you a suitable candidate going into higher education. So some examples that people sometimes use are things like communication, time management, teamwork, critical thinking. But it's really important that you don't just list or bullet point the skills that you have. You use examples of how you demonstrate the skills that you have, and actually also link them to how that will be helpful when you go to university too. So because we've not got an awful lot of time today, I've put on the bottom of this slide to consider using the STAR technique. Now, if anyone does want to learn more about demonstrating the skills and attributes that you have in your personal statement, if you Google STAR technique later, it's just a simple framework that will help you really go into detail about the examples of the skills that you're going to use. Next slide, please. Another section that we'd recommend including would be your relevant experience. So any work experience, voluntary work, part-time jobs, any placements you might have done, include that in your personal statement because it can really help you stand out. Now, sometimes people say, I've only done a one-day placement in maybe like a nursing home, for example. That's still really, really good experience. Not all universities specify an amount of experience you have to do. They're just interested in hearing what you've done. So even if you've just done a day somewhere, that's still really good to include. What I would say is when you're talking about your experience, it doesn't always have to be relevant. So you might be applying to a paramedic course and you work part-time in a shop in retail now. Now, that can still be relevant because there's lots of skills that you'd learn from working in retail. So things like having good communication and customer service skills that are transferable and can be applied to the role of a paramedic. So have a think about the skills you've learned on your work experience and how that could apply to the course you're applying to. And then also consider when you're thinking about your skills, actually reflect on your experience. So again, we don't just want you to list where you've done your experience and what skills you've got. We want to know about what went well, what did you learn from that experience? Did it give you more of an insight into anything? So do be quite reflective on your experience too. Next slide, please. And then the final section that we'd recommend including is outside interests. Now with this section of your personal statement, I'd only include this if you have enough space to. So if you're getting close to your 47 lines, your 4,000 characters, don't feel like you have to include your outside interests. It's not compulsory, it just can be useful. And particularly if you've done things like Duke of Edinburgh, first aid, sports coaching type things, if there's something that you've done outside of college or sixth form that could really sell yourself in your personal statement, do consider including that too. Next slide, please. Once you've completed your application, you would check it, double check it, get someone else to read over it, and you'd send it off. When you send it, it actually goes to your college first. So your staff and your tutors can input a reference, they check over your application, and then your college would send that on to UCAS once it's all fully complete. Next slide, please. After you've sent your application to UCAS, so we are getting ahead of it. I realise not many people have sent their application yet, but just something to be aware of. So you do start to receive like communications back from UCAS. So when admissions tutors have read your personal statement in your UCAS application, you could be given 3 different types of offers. If you were given an unsuccessful offer, that would mean that the university don't want to offer you a place on their course, and unfortunately your application's been unsuccessful. If you were offered a conditional offer, this means that the university would be happy to give you a place on their course, providing you meet their requirements. So it's often that you get the grades on A-level results day, for example, or it might be things like medical or DBS checks that you have to go through. You might also get given an unconditional offer. So this is where a university says, regardless of whatever you get, you've been accepted onto our course and you can come along and join our course. Now, these sometimes sound great, but what I would say is just be a bit wary of these. So if you received an unconditional offer from a university that was your 5th choice, have a think about, are you accepting that offer just because it's unconditional, or do you really want to go there? So just consider why they may be giving you that offer. And then you get a chance to reply. So you can make someone your first choice, which is known as your firm choice. You then put someone down as your insurance choice, so the university that you'd like to go to second, and then you decline your other 3 choices. So that's how the system works when you actually start to receive offers back from universities. Next slide, please. And then just before we finish up, I thought I'd include some useful websites or places you might want to go to do a bit of research. So the UCAS website's really good. They've got a section on there called UCAS Hub, where you can do things like build a personal statement, convert your grades into UCAS points, and you can do research into universities and courses. So we would really recommend having a look at UCAS Hub, and then chat to your teachers in your college. So if you've got a personal tutor, maybe your careers team or a UCAS coordinator, if you're struggling with the application or if you need help, do have a chat to people in your college, because I'm sure they'd be more than happy to help you out. Next slide, please. So that's it from me today. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. If anyone has got any questions, I'm happy to take them. Or if not, you can email study@edgehill.ac.uk and we can answer any questions over email. So I can see that we've had a question come in. If I don't get the grades I was predicted, will I automatically be rejected on results day? Now, the way that works on results day, it depends on how many places are available on that course and if the course has entered something called clearing or not. So you might not get the grades you anticipated on results day. That doesn't necessarily mean you won't be accepted onto the course. If you were maybe one grade below and they still had lots of places to fill, they might make you a reduced offer, which means they reduce the entry points that they require for you to get onto the course. But if not, don't worry too much, because there are always lots of different courses that go into something called clearing, so you can apply to different universities and different courses, providing that they've not reached their max capacity still. I hope that helps. Thanks very much. So we've had another question. Due to COVID, are we still accepting the same number of students? I can only answer this question on behalf of Edge Hill University, but the answer for us is yes. So we haven't had any change in the number of students or maximum capacities on our courses. So for us, it's all running as usual. Brilliant. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, Penny.
Thank you, Penny.
That was great. Thank you. Okay, so for our final university, it's a university that we know really, really well. We can actually see it from here. And we're going to go over to Colette, and it's from our very own Hugh Bird University Centre. Hi, Colette.
Hi, hiya. Hi, everyone.
You're from here, Colette.
Hiya.
Okay, so we'll get over to Colette then.
Hi, I'm Colette Maudsley. I'm the Dean of Higher Education and Access at the Hugh Bird University Centre. It's lovely to see you all here today, and hopefully between myself and the HE academic leads, Delith Coles and Martin Harrington, we'll be able to give you an insight into the courses we offer and what it's like to study at the University Centre. The University Centre offers a friendly and supportive learning environment in order to study local and go anywhere, whilst providing you with the tailored support you need to be successful. We deliver through small class sizes with varied teaching and assessment methods. This ensures our undergraduates receive individual attention. Our staff are used to working with students of all ages, and we welcome applicants from mature learners. In June 2017, the Hugh Bird University Centre was awarded the highest possible gold rating for its higher education provision from a newly launched government scheme. The Teaching Excellence Framework was introduced to provide evidence about the performance of higher education sector in the UK. We believe that this award, coupled with the growing number of our graduates achieving first-class honours, demonstrates our continued commitment to raising aspirations, increasing opportunities for all, and inspiring students to achieve their full potential. We work with 3 higher education institutions: the University of Central Lancashire, the University of Cumbria, and Liverpool John Moores University, which means your degree comes from them, not the college, and you will graduate the same as any other student that attends a traditional university. Our foundation entry foundation degree and full honours degree level courses are valued by employers from a variety of industries and are designed to prepare students for success in their chosen field, enabling them to leave the University Centre career ready. Applying is easy, and we'd love to meet you to discuss your options. And as you may already be a student at the college, why not pop over, and which we are just adjacent to the Balliol building, come over and see us. We're always happy to accommodate our college students with taster days or a chat with staff or students, so you can see what it's like to do a university level course here on campus. We have a Hugh Baird University Centre guarantee, which means if you successfully achieve your qualification at the college, then you'll be guaranteed a place on one of our HE courses. There are terms and conditions that apply, and we can give you those when you pop over. For information on how to apply, fill in the online application form located on the website, or add us as one of your choices on your UCAS form. We're now going to watch a short video about life in the University Centre.
Well, I chose the course over at Hugh Baird because I really felt that on interview and talking to the tutors that it was a really supportive environment.
My expectations at the university were, in all fairness, I didn't know what to expect.
I went from college straight to uni, gone through the whole experience of new class, new people.
I expected it to be a friendly environment, I expected to get along with everyone.
But it was good just getting to know people, getting to know new people.
The tutors were very nice. It just seemed like you'd known them forever.
Honestly, I was unsure of what to do with my life with the course that I'm doing. Not only that I enjoy it, but it'll help me towards getting that job, whatever it might be that I'm applying for.
The goal for our students is to graduate with a good qualification that's embedded employability. Formula for success at uni.
Responsibility, commitment and motivation.
The student community is really positive and the atmosphere is really good, like it's dead friendly.
A good effective tutor is one that really listens.
Allows you to be yourself, allows you to take risks.
But really inspires you to want to do better and actually see the end result.
And just allows you to go mad, go crazy with your ideas.
Uni meant to me that you were educated to a level that you were taken seriously in your profession.
Courses that we're studying, they're very informative, they're very in-depth, give us a broad range of knowledge on the subjects that we want to go into, and the tutors are very supportive of the paths that we want to pick as well.
Liverpool is absolutely amazing to live in. Not only have you got the city atmosphere going for you, you've got the nightlife as well, which is, I suppose, key to being a student.
Advice for students: if you want it, go for it. You are going to be learning all of your life, so to get a university qualification will allow you to go anywhere in the world and go and work.
Great, so I hope you enjoyed that. So I'd like to now hand you over to one of the academic leads, Martin Harrington, who's going to talk about the student experience.
Hi, I'm Martin, and I'm one of two academic leads here at the University Centre, and our job really is to ensure that the experience that all our students receive is a quality one and helps them to achieve, and as Colette said, helps them to get ahead in industry and thrive once they get their degree. So in terms of ensuring that quality, that stretches through everything we do. That includes teaching and learning, academic and pastoral support, career readiness, and also making sure that you've got a say in the services we provide, and that what we're doing is helping you to develop and to thrive. So since opening the University Centre, many students have benefited from the structure that we've developed at the University Centre. In terms of teaching and learning, we operate at smaller class sizes than a lot of educational establishments, which mean that our students benefit from greater contact with teaching staff, they also have the opportunity to explore and apply material in a much more effective way than they would if they were sitting in a lecture hall full of 200 students, for example. It also allows us to adopt an assessment for learning approach, which means that staff will get an accurate picture of where students are up to and help them to progress and develop and make sure that they, in terms of their academic ability and heading towards their career, they are on track and getting the most out of them. So there was a question before about COVID and taking students on. I mean, while social distancing is in place, apart from the strict control measures we have in place, we've taken the decision to try and get as many students on campus as socially distanced as possible. And to help that, we are live streaming all our sessions through Teams, which means that even if students do have to learn remotely, they can benefit from face-to-face contact with staff and interact with them and get that face-to-face benefit from their learning. In terms of supporting students through their educational journey, we have a team of student engagement officers, and they're on hand to provide practical pastoral support and also deliver a variety of workshops on academic skills designed to help students get the most from their study. Students also benefit from face-to-face reviews, which mean, again, we can plan your academic development and make sure that you are developing and you are on course to succeed and get the most out of your studies. All our programs have a very strong emphasis on industry and in skills for industry, and we do have our own specific career readiness program. The modules that we develop, the courses we develop, are written in conjunction with industry specialists. A lot of our creative staff in particular are industry practitioners themselves. So our students benefit from getting kind of up-to-date subject knowledge in terms of what's happening in the sector. And in addition to that, we do run a lot of events where we try and expose students to the world of work as much as possible, everything from Meet the Professionals to guest speakers, guest lecturers, and making sure that you get the most from that, which combines with the professional development modules that a lot of our degrees have. So it may well be that you want to be self-employed or work in a particular sector. So you can be assured that the degree program that you're on does cater for that and will prepare you for industry. Finally, higher education is a partnership between both the college and students. And so the University Centre here does provide plenty of opportunity for students to input their views and help develop University Centre life. And that can range from everything from proposing clubs and societies or to helping shape course development. And we believe it's this partnership which will help you get the most from your time with us. So I'd like to hand over now to my colleague Delith, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about what we do.
My name's Delith Coles, I'm the other academic lead, and I'd like you now to listen to a video from next student around what it was like for him as a student.
I mean, the main reason why I choose to come to the University Centre was its locality, really. Obviously, UCLan is the awarding body for the university I chose, but just with the locality and the break in the tuition fees, and it just suited me much more than actually travelling to Preston.
No, I didn't always know that I wanted to go to university. I always thought pretty much I didn't know what to do. Didn't understand the process or anything, but I went to college and I just wanted to learn more in depth about the industry and what subject I was learning.
Thinking back now, I do think it was a really good decision to join the University Centre, definitely. I've really enjoyed it, and as I say, I've done the foundation degree and now moved on to the BA, and it is something that I do not regret at all.
The tutors were very welcoming and they offered, you know, you could, if you needed to talk with them about anything, you can. So it felt very comfortable.
In terms of the support from the tutors was amazing, especially because, which is one of the good things about studying in this format, is the class sizes are not too big, you know, because they're a lot more intimate than they would be if you were actually on a campus. Speaking to friends who've gone to other places, their classes were so large at sometimes where the tutors didn't even know their names, whereas at sometimes there'd be only 5-6 of us in class, do you know what I mean? And it would just be almost like a one-to-one. It was really, really cool because it was intimate.
It was great to be in the class with people from different backgrounds, different age ranges, as I didn't go straight into college. I had a few years out, so I went to college and then I came here. So I was in the middle, so it was great to see people that were younger than me and people that were older than me. And it was just a great community kind of in the class. We had loads of guest speakers, makeup artists from all different aspects of the industry. And also we had great trips. So we went to America, we went to New York, that was brilliant. And we'd done everything makeup related, watched a Broadway show. Went to MAC, it was just closed just for us. We had one of the tutors there teaching us things, and then we had a discount in the shop, that was great. And then we also went to London, so we went to IMATS, which was great. That was a great experience.
I would definitely recommend the University Centre 100% to friends and family. I mean, it's such a relaxed atmosphere. The faculty, it's a pleasant experience. The building, I mean, I've enjoyed it that much that I've come back again to do my PGCE certificate. It's just a really nice environment to be in.
Yes, I would definitely recommend the University Centre, mainly because it just gave me that extra edge and also the creativity of being unique in your designs. And I think that's what's helped me be employable now, and especially my knowledge of products and really understanding what a client will want.
For me, the student experience at the Hugh Bird University Centre has been amazing. I've been here nearly 4 years now, and it's just so relaxed, it's fun, it's friendly, everyone's approachable. The building, the facilities, they're really, really good. I definitely 100% recommend it.
So I hope you enjoyed listening to the experiences from the two students. If I could go through now the courses that we offer, and if you have a look at the prospectus, which has got Andrew Mannion as one of the graduates from his top-up degree, that was his experience from his time here with us. So we've got 3 faculties. First of all, we've got the Faculty of Creative Industries, and that's got the list that shows on screen now with all the current courses that we're on within those faculties. We've got the Faculty of Health and Education, and again there's a list on screen now for you to see what programs that we run from those faculties. And lastly, the Faculty of Engineering, Business and Computing. So we are happy to receive any inquiries from any students regarding any of those courses that we offer within that list that you can see on screen now. We have got an additional policing that we did validated this year, so therefore we are increasing our curriculum offer every year. Can I hand you back over now to Colette?
Hi everyone. So we're hoping that you've had a good day today, listening to lots of different universities, University Centre with us, with regards to student life, how to apply, etc. And we've given you a little bit of an insight into the University Centre. So we'd like to take the opportunity now to answer any questions. Okay, so we've got a question from Lisa. How many students are in each class? That depends, Lisa. A lot of the creative classes are fairly small in size, so anything from 8 to say 18 students, depending, the 18 being more of the makeup, that's a really popular course. So it does depend. Some of the other courses, business and management, health and social care, etc., they tend to be a little bit larger as well. So again, 18, 22. At the moment, we're doing a live streaming so that the students are either on campus or they're at home, but they are zooming in, if you like, to the lessons. Okay, and we've got another question from David. How many lectures do we have a week? Again, that's going to depend on your lesson and your subject area. So we work on the basis of up to 13 class contact hours a week, and then there's an additional hour on there for that is related to student engagement in some way, shape or form. So some of the theory-based lessons are up to 11 hours a week. So in terms of your actual modules, we work on, for a full-time course, 6 single modules a year. So those lessons will be taken place, and it will depend on whether they're a year-long module, and if they all are, then there's going to be at least 6 lessons there to cover those 6 modules. If they are short modules, so for one semester, for example, then those sessions, you might have a couple of sessions a week, but it will be on that one module. So it really depends. Do we have any more questions? Okay, so a question from Katie. What access and support do I receive from UCLan? Okay, Martin, can I pass that one over to you?
Just unmute myself. Yeah, in terms of partner universities, you become an associate student with that university, and you will be able to access things like Blackboard resources. There'll also be opportunities to actually go to the university itself and to access facilities, providing that they're open to us. A lot of the time we do that by arrangement, but you know, a lot of our students do benefit from going up to the different campuses and using specialist equipment, for example, if it's our creatives, or talking to some of the academics. And with the a lot of library systems now being virtual, you can access the UCLan libraries, for example, and also there is the facility to order books from them as well. So that can be taken up with your individual tutors when you start, but certainly there's plenty of opportunity to get support from not just from us, but from the partner university as well.
Okay, so that's the end of the questions. So I'd like to thank you again for tuning in today. So we want to pass you over now to Julia and Kelly. Right, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the Progression to HE event. Thank you to all our guest speakers and all our universities, and to any students watching. As we said earlier, myself and Kelly are the UCAS coordinators for Hugh Baird. So if you do have any questions regarding UCAS or university, you're a bit unsure of whether or not to go, please do come have a little chat with us. We are based in the pod, which is in Balliol Building. There is also a pod in our South Sefton campus, which you are more than welcome to visit and ask those questions as well. Alternatively, we can be contacted via email on careers@hughbaird.ac.uk, or you can contact us on Teams. Thank you. Oh, right.